No matter your age, your plan for retirement can start today. From the News Channel 5 Network, this is the Retirement Report.
Good morning. Welcome to the Retirement Report. I'm Hank Parrott, your host. I'm going to be talking about estate planning today. This is one of those areas we get into quite often, and the reason is this is an area that has not just for when I die what happens to my stuff, but what about when you're still living? We're going to talk about that as well. You know, one of the examples that I talk about when it comes to estate planning and the importance of having the right documents. And in my book, 7 Steps to Financial Freedom in Retirement, one of the things that I talk about there are the 5 essential documents. This is in Chapter 7 on estate planning, the 5 essential documents that make up a good estate plan. So for instance, that would be a revocable living trust, a pour-over will, a power of attorney for assets, a power of attorney for health care, and a living will. And one of the things there that we tend to procrastinate, it's a natural thing, right? We think, well, I'll get to that sometime. There's time for that. And I really don't want to be thinking about dying or, you know, incapacity or all the bad things that can happen. I don't really want to think about that right now. I mean, or maybe it's I don't really have that much or don't think I have that much. And I've had clients come in with $500,000, $1 million saved, and they're thinking, yeah, I don't know if that's enough really to bother with a trust as an example. Well, there are so many other factors that come into play, and we're going to talk about those today as well. And joining me here to help with that is Jack McCann with McCann and Hubbard over in is it at Brentwood or Franklin? Because you're kind of right on the line.
Cool Springs. Cool Springs, right in the middle.
All right, so in Cool Springs, and I've known Jack now for I think 7, 8, maybe 8, 9 years, something like that. And great help with clients, and he's also a real estate attorney, so he deals with real estate matters, and these two kind of go hand in hand many ways, and we're going to talk about how that works as well. But start out, Jack, let's go ahead and just deal with the basics. So as I mentioned, these 5 essential documents, one of those that when it comes to a trust as an example, when a revocable living trust, you can set up language within a will that will do the same things. You can create, in other words, trusts within a will, just as you can set up a trust. The difference is in one, the funding of it up front, and this is where my office comes in. With my clients, I like to go ahead and get the revocable trust up front rather than a deal with probate later, and I'll help them with the funding or the necessary transfers and things that need to be done. So from your standpoint, when you do this kind of planning, there's really, if you've got a financial advisor to help and a good attorney, basically you're just saying, here's what I want to have happen, and they walk you through different scenarios to make sure that they get it right the way you want it. And then their job is to take care of everything else, get all the documents together, take care of the transfer forms and things that might be needed, and take care of all that for you to where you're just signing. You may get a hand cramp, but other than that, you're just signing it. So, okay, so let's talk about, well, I guess we can start with probate, because in Tennessee, for the most part, probate is not, it's not a horrible thing. I mean, it's not as expensive as it can be in other states.
Correct.
But you still have time delays, you still have other factors that come into play.
Absolutely, yeah. I tell people that, you know, Tennessee is a traditionally agricultural state. We like to keep things simple. And probate here is much simpler than a lot of other states. We hear horror stories, and I have clients in other states where we've had issues, California and Florida, for example. The New England states, probate's a lot more expensive, a lot more complicated. Fortunately in Tennessee it's a lot easier, but that doesn't mean it's something that you should just kind of ignore. Probate can be a frustrating process, especially if you fail to plan. The worst is when people say, well, I'll just let my heirs take care of it. I don't have that complicated of a estate. Well, as simple as you think your estate is, if you die without a will, you just made a huge mess for your heirs to try and clean up. And the worst part is, it's not just your closest heirs, it's all of your heirs, the nieces and nephews of your deceased siblings. It's how many people get involved. We've got a probate right now. There's 12 family members that are involved. And this guy, just like you're talking about, we talked to him about doing a will 6 months before he passed away. And he said, oh, I'll get around to that. And we just begged him to come in, and he just wouldn't do it. And so, and he just thought, well, you know, I'm going to get better. Things are going to be all right. I'll worry about that later. But he missed a good opportunity to leave behind a good plan for the people that he wanted his assets to go to. Instead, now we've got the whole family sort of fighting over things, and it's going to be way more expensive, because when you're dealing with a mess, that's more expensive to clean up than a well-laid plan that was left behind.
This is one of the areas sometimes, and it seems kind of silly in ways, but you're human, and one of the things that comes with that, we think maybe that somehow getting all this stuff taken care of. Now, for many of us, it's more about, yeah, I'm going to get that handled so I don't have to worry about it and I have peace of mind. Others are like they're setting themselves up to die by taking care of those things that deal with death. The reality is, it's more the peace of mind. It's more, I've worked with, over the last 30 years, just, thousands of families in terms of getting this type of planning done. And one of the things I find is that if you have a period of incapacity, as an example, and I've seen where, people have had illnesses where they were just kind of out of it, whether it was a leukemia or a cancer, another type of form of cancer, or, as I said, a stroke, but then they recover, and then they do recover, in fact, but during that period, making it so much easier for their spouse to take care of the things that need to be taken care of, it reduced a lot of a lot of stress that would have otherwise been there. And this is one of those areas, then, just get it done. And it's not a hard thing to do. It's just a matter of setting up a meeting, and I'm going to make it easy for you, okay? At least on this end. Now, first off, if you've got a good advisor, if you've got a good attorney, or someone, just get in and get that process started, and they should be able to make that quite easy for you and simplify it quite a bit. If you don't, for the first 10 callers to my office this morning at 615-376-5325, not only are you going to do the comprehensive financial plan for you, this retirement income analysis we call it, but in addition to that, all right, or as a part of it, actually, is the estate planning. And I deal with that with all new clients, and of course with all my existing clients. We've got estate plans set up, or if they've had one coming in, we keep on it. When we do reviews, we're making sure everything stays up to date. If there are any changes in the law, if there's any changes in their asset mix, any changes in the family dynamic, all of those things are reasons to review estate plan documents and make sure that they're kept up to date and that they're kept valid. All right, that they're going to do what you want to do in these situations. So again, first 10 callers, in addition to that comprehensive plan, or as a part of it, we're going to do some estate planning. So in addition to the investment analysis, showing you your financial future, we'll gather up some things like what your income is pre-retirement and in retirement, what your expenses are pre-retirement and in retirement. These can change too. These lifestyle expenses, what it takes to maintain your current standard of living. We're going to look at your assets, your liabilities, if any. We're going to look at determine what's the needed rate of return to accomplish your goal, and what's the rate of return right now based on the things you're doing. Show you the future, your financial future, based on the things you're doing today. I can show you what that's going to look like for you 10, 15, 20, 25 years or more down the road, and so that you can make sure you're making the right choices to get the outcome that you want. And we'll talk about Social Security and taxation of Social Security. All that will be a part of this. In addition, on the estate planning side, bring in your documents, and I can arrange to have Jack come in and meet with you as well and go over your estate planning documents and talk to you, just give you an assessment and see, talk to you about what kind of things you want to have happen, and are these documents going to accomplish that, okay? And we can go over all that as well. So first 10 callers, 615-376-5325. Tessa's standing by. She'll get your information. She'll send you out a checklist of things to bring to your appointment with me, including your estate planning documents, right? And when you come in to see me, I'll give you a free copy of my book, 7 Steps to Financial Freedom in Retirement. And as I mentioned in Chapter 7, it's all about estate planning, the 5 essential documents that form a good estate plan, such as a revocable living trust, a pour-over will, power of attorney for assets, power of attorney for health care, and a living will. And we'll talk about different kinds of trusts, the difference between a revocable and an irrevocable trust, and the kind of trust that we use in planning, and how, depending on your situation, how different trusts may come into play. Special needs trust is an example. If you have a special needs child, that you're needing to work with as well. So all of that is part of the planning. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to jump back into the estate planning and delve into these things in greater detail. So join us here. We'll be right back on the Retirement Report.